So I'm here on a cold winter's day in Red Hill on the Mornington Peninsula. I'm about to meet two special dogs with a really important job. They are expert truffle hunters. I'm Sarah Jones, this is Dog Jobs Australia. Let's get truffle hunting. Humans first developed a fondness for the elusive truffle over 4,000 years ago. With their distinctive aroma and taste, it's easy to see why they remain popular. Here on the Mornington Peninsula, there's a little farm that's put themselves on the map by producing some of the country's best black truffles. And they're using an age-old tradition to do it. It's time for me to meet Maddie and Thomas and their owner Jenny. So Jenny, we're here in front of this beautiful roaring fire. We've got the lovely Maddie here who's smothering us with affection.
She is, isn't she?
What a beautiful place to be on a winter's day.
Yes, it is. It's a classic truffle day today. It's misty, foggy, cold, not too much rain.
Hopefully it doesn't come
pouring down.
So tell me, when did you start Red Hill Truffles?
2005. I was fortunate enough to have inherited this property from my uncle, and it was virtually clear. It had been used for a bit of grazing of animals for a while, and before that apples and cherries. And I was looking for something to do that was different with it.
Sure.
I don't know anything about wine, so there's fabulous winemakers in Red Hill. Why would I compete with them?
Yep.
So a different crop was truffle.
Okay, and was anyone farming truffles?
Not that I knew about,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that there was an Australian industry.
Okay.
So I first tasted truffle when I was on my retirement holiday in Tuscany, which was
Wow.
a privilege,
Yeah.
and thought, wow, this is fabulous. Maybe I could try to grow it.
Yeah.
I knew that fungus grew really well on this property, so I knew that the environment could possibly be right for truffle. So when I came back, I did the research and discovered that there was the beginning of an industry in Tasmania.
Okay.
In North Tasmania that started to plant truffle trees, and they'd produced a truffle in 1999 was the first time.
Wow,
So it was
okay.
fairly
So it was
early in
pretty
the
new.
industry, yeah. And the industry still had a lot to learn. We didn't know a lot about the right way to inoculate the trees.
And when you say inoculate, can you tell
So
us
the
what that means?
trees are, they're oaks and hazelnuts, mainly in Australia.
Oh, okay.
And there's 4 varieties of oaks that are used, although there's one oak called the ilex or holly oak that's the predominant tree that's used. And you bare root the trees. The expert nursery person bare roots the trees at 12 months and soaks them in a truffle soup. They won't tell us what's in soup, that's their intellectual property, but we can all guess after we've been in truffles for a while. So they soak them in the soup, and the soup's got some sugar or molasses or something like that in it, which acts as a bit of a glue to the rhizomes on the fungus that helps it stick and attach to the roots of the tree. So then the tree's repotted, and then it's watered for 12 months with the same solution. And then after 12 months, the nursery people can check the roots to see if the rhizome's taken. And mostly it has, and then they can sell the trees. So the trees are about like that when you buy them. And then you've got to wait. You plant them and you wait 3 years to see if there's any sign in the soil that the
And there's a
fungus...
chance that there might not be?
Oh, lots. I've got 200 trees out there. Great signs, no truffle.
Wow.
So there's no guarantee that you'll get truffle.
And there's a chance that maybe it will a bit later or it just won't ever?
There is. There's a chance it will later on.
It's clear that growing truffles is not an exact science.
So I planted nearly 300 trees in 2005. I bought those over from Tassie, waited 5 years and had 1 truffle after 5 years. which
Should have
was
gone
a
with the
long-
wine. You went and had heaps of grapes.
Should have gone with the wine. And we ate that.
Slicing it up
Yes,
thin.
slicing it up very thin. But I didn't find it. A colleague from Flinders had some truffle dogs and he came up with his dogs and his dogs.
Okay, so you didn't have dogs at the time?
I didn't have dogs at the time because I wasn't certain
No.
that I'd buy truffle. And it's a bit of an industry area to plant the trees and buy the dog.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get a crop, the dog's already 8 years old.
Yeah.
And so you've got to wait till you find truffle before you get a dog.
Speaking of dogs.
To buy a trained truffle dog is $12,000.
Okay.
So it's a big commitment and therefore you've got to look after them. And they are a crucial part of the industry. Without the dogs, there is no product there. You can't find harvest.
Because a human couldn't find the truffle.
Absolutely not, no. I can luck it sometimes, but no way could a human find all the truffle. No, the dogs their noses are absolutely critical to the industry.
How far under the ground are these truffles developing?
To about 30 centimetres.
Okay.
But some of them, mostly that's the deepest, and then some crown. So usually we only got to dig, a couple of inches, and then you find the truffle.
Yeah. So humans probably have no chance.
No chance of finding them at all. In fairness, once you've been doing it for a while, if a truffle's quite large, it'll push the soil up, so you'll get displacement and you get a little hill.
Yeah.
So when you see little hills, you're often tempted to have a bit of a dig around.
When you say quite large, how big are we talking?
Oh, I've got truffle here in the fridge today that's about 300 grams.
Wow.
Which is, like that.
Yeah, I'm picturing little things,
Yeah,
but that's
no,
pretty...
the perfect size for a truffle is about the size of a billiard ball.
Okay,
Would be
in terms of
perfect.
flavour and maturity?
Well, and what people want to buy.
Right.
Because a truffle
Yeah, I guess
300
it's a big investment.
is a big investment. So chefs will buy that, but for home cooking, there's no way someone wants 300 grams of truffle.
Can you freeze truffle?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can. But if you freeze it, you've got to use it frozen, grate it frozen.
Right.
Because if you melt it, it'll all go mushy.
Oh, I see.
If you let it defrost.
Yeah.
So you've got to use it frozen.
And
then cook it with the food and that's fine.
Well, I'm very interested in these truffle hunts.
Oh, good, because I'm going to take you on one. You need to see the dogs working. You need to get down on your knees and smell the truffle in the soil and harvest a truffle and feel it in your hand.
That sounds fantastic. Maddie's ready to go. But first, it's time for a break. You're watching Dog Jobs Australia. On a drizzly winter's day, I found myself on a truffle hunt here in Red Hill on the Mornington Peninsula with my new four-legged pals, Maddie and Thomas.
Let's go.
So I guess the issue with truffle season being in winter is you might have to put up with a little bit of rain like we're getting now.
We do. We've even had a truffle hunt in the hail.
Really?
Which was actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get wet. And we were under umbrellas and the whoosh of the hail was fantastic.
Well, it's a really atmospheric environment here. You've got the sort of rolling valleys with all the mist around.
That's right.
But it feels quite magical.
It does, doesn't it? It's fabulous. So we're walking down here through some oaks. There are 4 different varieties of oaks here. The one that's the most beautiful is the cork oak. There's an example there. And in Europe, those oaks are harvested, the bark, to make cork for wine bottles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you can feel the
corkiness
of it as well.
They're beautiful trees.
And so these are trees that had been through that inoculation
They
process
have
you
all
were
been
talking about?
inoculated. So at the 12 months old, when they're just little trees. So the other thing we're looking for when we first start to know the fungus is in the soil is this moss and the dead grass around the tree. See that circle of dead grass.
And what does that tell you?
That means that the fungus has attached to the roots, the rhizomes have attached to the roots and is active in the soil. And the tree likes it because it's killing its competitor, the grass and the weeds, so that it gets more light, it gets more water, more minerals, and the rhizomes need the roots of the tree to be able to produce the truffle. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Right, so the truffle helps the tree,
the truffle
and the
helps
tree
the tree,
helps the
and
truffle.
the tree helps the truffle. And the sign of the ring of dead grass is the first evidence at about 3 years that the fungus is active in the soil. Doesn't mean you'll get truffle, but it means the fungus, the inoculation has worked. Come on, Thomas, good boy. Come on.
So what happens on these truffle hunts? What does the experience look like?
Well, the people arrive. We take 15 in a group, so I don't like there to be too many people, so they get a real experience. And we walk down here and I talk about the growing process, and then we find the truffle, get the dogs working. It takes them a little while to get their noses in, and then once they find truffle, people can get down and smell a truffle.
How exciting.
And for nearly everyone, it's the first time they've actually seen a truffle in the soil. And
I'm sure it's the first time many of them have seen a truffle at all.
It is. Yeah. Now we're in the area where we might find truffle.
Okay,
Right.
so we should keep our eyes peeled.
We keep our eyes peeled.
You were saying that there might be a little telltale lump,
We might find a telltale lump.
but
We'll
really
see.
this is Thomas's time
This
to
is
shine.
Thomas's time. Thomas, are you going to find some truffle? Come on.
Just having a think so far.
You're going to find some truffle?
And when he finds one, does he have a special alert that
Yes, he'll
to
tell
show
me,
you?
and you'll see him drop. And he's got to drop and tell us where the truffle is.
Nowadays, we use dogs to hunt for truffles, but that wasn't always the case. So tell me, when I think of truffles, I often think about truffle pigs.
Yep.
Why have we got dogs and not pigs?
Dogs, the Italians introduced dogs into the truffle industry. Pigs were used in France, and pigs are attracted to truffle, particularly the female pig. It smells like her mate.
Right.
And so she'll go along a forest, and if she smells it, she'll dig it up and eat it.
Right.
Because
So you'd
it's
have to be quick enough
You
to
have to
wrestle
be
the truffle
quick.
out of the pig.
Yep, out of its mouth. And lots of old truffle hunters from France have lost bits of their fingers because you've got to put your hand
Yeah,
down
and
the
pigs
pig's
are
mouth,
pretty-
and they're
pretty
strong.
ferocious.
I mean, a fully grown pig's 150 kilos, and very hard to wrestle one of those around Truffle. So the Italians who've used hunting dogs for years introduced dogs, and we train the dogs to be interested in food that we carry, so dog treats, and they're not as interested in the truffle.
Right, so they don't actually want to eat
No,
the truffle
they
at
don't
all,
want to
they're
eat
just doing the
truffle.
task.
Yeah, they're doing the task. If they're a bit enthusiastic, they can dig, and then they'll scratch a paw mark through the truffle, and of course it's devalued it instantly when that happens. But so you want to keep the dogs away from the truffle.
Yeah, so it must be quite a slow training process,
It's
getting
a
them
very slow training
used to the
process.
scent and,
Yep.
and tracking
Yep.
that scent.
Yeah.
Do you do that training yourself?
I didn't initially. The process of my acquiring a dog, I've got 2, as you can see, but I've had 4 over the
Okay.
period of the years. The first dog I bought was a Lagotto, because they're regarded as probably the best and the most prestigious dog in the truffle industry. So I bought a little Lagotto down from New South Wales, Coco. Sent her down to Tasmania to training school, truffle
Wow.
training school.
It's a big investment.
And she'd been down there a month,
Yeah.
and they rang me and said, no, this dog's no good.
Okay, so just because it's the
Just
specific
be-
breed, that doesn't
no,
mean...
she was too flighty
Right.
and couldn't do it. So she got sent back in disgrace. She was adopted
thing.
to a close friend and has
Great.
had a wonderful life, but
I'm
not
sure
a
she's
truffle
much
hunter.
happier
It was
not doing the job she was never meant to do.
That's right. And so Simon French, who trains dogs in Tasmania, said, come down, I've got a dog that I think will suit you. And I went down and met Thomas.
And we've got Thomas just sitting at the back here.
Thomas.
Oh, he's fast asleep.
He's fast asleep. Thomas is 9, he
Yeah.
was 3 when he came to me. And he was a rescue dog.
Okay.
So Simon goes around many of the pounds in Tasmania and picks out dogs he thinks can work.
Right, so not obviously specifically to truffles, but any sort of working dog?
And he will train them.
Okay.
And he uses then the dogs himself to find truffle. And he had Thomas, and Thomas wasn't happy in the pack.
Yeah.
Thomas is not a pack dog. And so he was quite unhappy. When Thomas is unhappy, he blows his cheeks out. And he spent a lot of his time puffing his cheeks out.
Puffed out.
And Simon knew he wasn't happy,
Maddie.
so he said, you come down, and if you two bond, then you can have Thomas.
Well, I have seen you interact, and there's definitely a bond there. He's definitely a very loving dog.
He is a very loving dog.
I suppose that's the thing about some working dogs are really focused on the job at all times.
Yes.
And it seems like with Maddie and Thomas, they're also really focused on people.
They are. They're very people. Well, because we run a lot of truffle hunts here, the dogs that we have to love people and have to interact with them, want to seek their attention and develop a relationship with them.
I mean, that would be part of the magical experience of coming here for the truffle hunt and working with the truffle dogs and getting to have a pat.
Yeah, having a pat, seeing the dog work. And people are fascinated by watching the dog actually go to work and find the truffle. They almost don't believe it. And they say, is the dog trained to do that? Yes, the dog's got to sit and drop and point with the nose where the truffle is.
Yeah.
And that's what they're specifically trained to do.
And you reinforce with food.
I reinforce
then.
that with food.
Time to find some truffles.
Come on, Thomas. We're going to find a truffle. Come on. Find truffle. Find truffle. Find truffle. Find truffle. Find truffle. Show me. All right, so that's what he's got to do. He's got to get down like that and point with his nose as to where the truffle is. And then I have to go down and see if I can find it.
Oh, okay, so you wouldn't give the reward straight away?
No, because Thomas has been known to pretend that there's a truffle there.
It's a good strategy, Thomas.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can find the truffle, hey? Okay, so now we have to dig and see if there's a truffle here. No, there's not a truffle there. So you can see that it's a lot of hard work and it's not always there. It's fine. We'll go back down. We'll go into the back section where I'm sure there's more. Come on, find truffle. The truffle? Show me. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Yes.
It's a really collaborative process then, isn't it, with the dogs?
You show me. Sit down. Sit and we'll see if we can find the truffle. Hey? We'll see if we can find the truffle. Okay. Show me where it is. Is this where it is? There it is.
Wow,
right on the top.
Right there at the surface.
Right on the top. Yes, right on the top. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, now.
Hi. Yes, you did so
you
good.
sit with Sarah.
You did
and
so
we'll see if
good.
we can find that.
So you'd have to be really delicate with that implement you're using so you don't actually damage the truffle.
You do. It's very hard until you're familiar with what you're looking for. You think it's the soil.
Yeah, to me that's a big lump of dirt right there.
And it is. And then you've got to take the soil away because the truffle's actually going out there.
Yeah,
and
so you're sort of finding,
the
ends of it.
And then I have to determine if it's ripe. Oh yes, and that one's ripe. All right, now it's your turn.
Okay.
Okay?
Excited.
Okay, so you're going to get on your knees and you're going to smell the truffle.
Okay, this is a first. Well, I'm about to get down and dirty with my first truffle and smell if it's ripe. I hope I'm not going to face plant onto it, but let's see. Wow, you can really, really smell that truffle.
Smell it. Good.
I was expecting more dirt, but it's really that strong.
It's ripe. It's a nice mid-season truffle. Now, do you want to have a go at harvesting it?
Yeah, I'm scared.
Okay, so you go round with the tip.
Yep.
See, it goes out
the
to
edge
about
there,
and you go round to a tip and expose it. It's like an archaeological dig.
It is. I feel like it's like a precious fossil.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly what it is.
The dirt is quite soft, and you can sort of feel where the edge is.
You're never sure what they'll be, and sometimes they're a bit like icebergs. So you see just the tip, and then they go wider and wider and wider.
Yeah. So as you expose it, there's more and more. That must be quite exciting.
It is quite exciting, but again, it can be nerve-wracking.
And when
they're the roots. See, you're cutting through the
there
roots.
it is.
That's absolutely fine.
Quite delicate.
Yep, quite delicate root. All right, I think you can try and lever that out gently. See how it goes.
Oh yeah.
See, that's
it's actually it comes out so easily.
It does. Once you've taken the soil. That's
there it is.
There it is.
Oh, it's two.
Now, it's two, and that often happens. Now smell them underneath. Pop it under. You can smell the aroma.
Yeah, it's so
that's
strong.
Natural. So that's good truffle. See how
it smells
rough,
fantastic,
and it's got lots of texture on the.
Yeah,
and then
brush off some of that dirt, and you can see.
Yeah, and you can see it.
Yeah, it's absolutely
it's
beautiful,
a nice shape.
Isn't it?
It's a lovely truffle, and no nicks in it, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah. Well, that was a success. My first truffle hunt, and I've scored my first truffles, all with the help of head truffle sniffer Thomas. So we're here having a look at some of the amazing produce you have, and here are some real life truffles.
Yeah, there's some truffle.
They're incredible. They look very much like a brain.
Yeah, they do. Would you like to smell this one?
Yeah, let's have a go. Oh, it's so intense,
what does it
isn't
smell
it?
like to you?
I mean, it's amazing smell. It's very strong.
Yes.
And it is musky, and I'd say stinky, but in a deliciously stinky.
Yeah, good.
Because you were saying earlier that it's that male pig
smell. That's right. The major pheromone that a truffle throws off is testosterone.
Oh, there you go.
And that's why female pigs found it initially.
Is that why I like it as well?
That's why you like it. Yeah, women love truffle.
Is it known to have a sort of aphrodisiac quality given that lineage?
People like to say that it does. I'm not totally convinced about that, but it certainly has very good food value.
Yeah.
Very high in antioxidants.
So it's healthy.
Yes, it's very healthy for you. Yeah.
And how do you tell that it's ripe?
It's got to be hard. So when you press it, it's got to be hard, and it's got to have a strong aroma.
Right.
And so a truffle hunter has to get used to that. The dogs will find the truffle as they start to ripen, and so the truffle hunter's got to get down on their knees and smell it and decide whether it's ripe enough to harvest or not. If it's not, you cover it up and leave it in the ground.
So it's not just the dogs doing the work, you actually have to do quite a lot of work there as well?
The hunter has to too. So it's a real partnership between the dog and the human.
So if you dug it up too early, it wouldn't ripen
on
the shelf or anything, it's just too early?
Once you take it out of the ground, once you disconnect it from the root of the tree, because it grows attached to the root of the tree, once you disconnect it, it won't ripen, it won't change in any way. So if you harvest it and it's not ripe, there's not much you can do with it.
And you were saying billiard ball is kind of the perfect size, so this little nugget looks pretty perfect?
It's pretty perfect. It's got a few dents in it to be absolutely perfect. Yeah, but it's a very handsome truffle.
What's the biggest truffle you've ever found?
The biggest truffle was 880 grams. So about that big.
Wow.
And it took hours to get it out of the soil.
Yeah, it would have been like an archaeological dig.
It was like an archaeological dig, and you had to be really, really patient. We think truffles that are that big grow like that because they'll start in a little cluster, and as they grow bigger and bigger, they'll join together. So there were lots of bumps on it. So it's probably lots of little truffle that have joined together to make one big one.
And did that giant truffle go to a lucky home or a
went
restaurant?
To a local restaurant in Mornington who featured it, and it had a fantastic week or more with the truffle.
Could have been like the showcase,
It
the
was.
golden nugget.
They showcased it under glass and had a lot of fun with it, which we love restaurants to do that.
And inside the truffle, looking at this one that's been cut open, you've got this sort of almost like a little membrane there.
That's right. And so the flesh must be dark, and then you've got to be able to see the veins in it. And the veins have got to be white and stand out.
Right.
And that's how you tell a ripe truffle.
What's the shelf life for truffles?
Of a whole truffle, uncut, 14 days from when it's harvested. But a truffle like that that's been cut, you need to use within 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a fungus, it will go mouldy.
Yeah.
So the secret of keeping truffle once it's out of the ground, we wash it, we dry it, and then you've got to keep it dry and cold.
Well, one thing I'm noticing looking at your range, you've got butters, you've got aiolis and honey and all sorts of things. I'm not seeing truffle oil though.
No, we're purists. Most truffle oil on the market has no real truffle in it.
Really?
Truffle and oil don't naturally combine.
Okay, so what's in there?
An aroma that's made from a petrochemical product. You buy it from the web, pour the aroma into the oil, microwave a tiny bit of truffle, float that in the oil, and that's truffle oil.
Right.
I'm not an advocate of truffle oil because I think it spoils people's noses for truffle.
Okay.
Because you get a huge wow factor.
Yeah.
And then when you taste and smell real truffle, it doesn't blow you away the same as truffle oil does, because often people use too much aroma in the oil,
Yes.
and real truffle is more subtle.
Yeah.
The aroma's there, but it's deep, like you experienced before, and it's a deep, almost dark aroma, but it doesn't blow you away. And then the aroma comes into these products, which are all natural products, and people get a real sense of what the real truffle tastes like. And oil doesn't do that.
Thank you so much for today, though. It's been really magical.
Thank you, Sue. It's been lovely having you here. Lovely to meet you, meet the dogs, and to experience truffle hunting.
I think I might end the day by cozying up next to that lovely fire we have going with the dogs there.
Fantastic. You're very welcome.
It's been an amazing adventure coming out here to Red Hill Truffles. I hope, like I have, you've fallen in love with 2 of the most gorgeous truffle hunting dogs in the country. This has been Dog Jobs Australia. Catch you next time.